What's up, you guys? Coming back at you with another top 10 video. This time we're going to be looking at some of the awesome reprints for Commander coming out of Iconic Masters. Now I know this set is specifically meant to reprint a lot of good cards throughout different formats. It's sort of like another Eternal Masters without actually calling it Eternal Masters. We just see a ton of Commander staples, and we just see a ton of awesome cards that got reprinted, and it really just begs the question, was this really intended for Commander, or was this intended for other formats as well? So let's get on into the honorable mentions. Fluster Storm, pretty good staple, super expensive from the original Commander set. It's either going to be this or Spell Pierce in many Legacy or Vintage decks. Ancestral Vision, very good card in Modern. Then we have Mistress Bobble, which is another good eternally played card. Doesn't really see much play though in Commander, which is why it's only an honorable mention, but it is a super expensive uncommon from Cold Snap. Pretty ridiculous. Bloodghast, Modern playable, that's about it. Awesome reprint, but other than that, not going to see hardly any play in Commander. Magus of the Moon, another good Modern card. Not going to see too much play in Commander other in red Chaos decks that want to just disrupt anyway. And Primeval Titan's a good reprint, but it's sadly not playable in this format for obvious reasons. So let's get in onto this list here. Number 10 is Serra Ascendant. Little 1-mana white dude that basically becomes a 6/6 flyer with lifelink. Is a pain in the ass to deal with in a Commander format, but it is so expensive for that reason. A lot of people want it because a lot of people want to play a competitive deck. Makes perfect sense in something like Oloro, where you're almost guaranteed to have some sort of a life gain strategy associated with it. Keep your life total high enough to where you never really have to worry about this dude becoming just a 1/1 with lifelink, which is what it really is in other formats. But in Commander, right off the bat, it's a 6/6 with flying and lifelink, so super devastating to other players that have to deal with this early game. Definitely needed a reprint though. It was above $20 for a long time. Number 9 is Teferi, Mage of Zalfie, another card that was around that $20 range and up. Really just a good hate card in your opponents that want to do things at instant speed. Awesome for wizard tribal based decks for obvious reasons. He is a wizard. And just good for just mono blue control. You could obviously put him in other control builds as well. A lot of these cards that sort of limit your opponent's capabilities are always going to have some sort of utility in the format. They're super popular. Cards like Torpor Orb, other things that hinder your opponent's abilities in the game are always going to be popular. And the reprint of Teferi, especially with the alternate artwork, that's pretty cool. Number 8 is Oblivion Stone. It does see play in Modern Tron. I feel that a lot of people are just content with using Nevinyrral's Disc instead of this in Commander, which is why it's lower on my list here, of course. But I feel that if it was cheaper, it was more accessible to the people, they would prefer a card like this to where you can activate it right off the bat. It didn't come into play tapped, and you had the potential that if you weren't absolutely just desperate and you needed to use it right away, you could just put fate counters on permanents you wanted to protect and then just destroy everything else, which is always pretty cool to have that utility. But it's a good reprint because it does see play in Modern, but also a pretty decent Commander card if you're able to get it. Only downside here is that I think the artwork is just ugly. Number 7 is Avacyn, Angel of Hope. Now, she was reprinted in From the Vault, Angels, and while she isn't one of those super duper expensive Commander cards, I always feel like anything that's in that $20 to $30 range is usually worth reprinting, especially when it comes to creatures, and just cards that don't really see too much play outside of the format. Avacyn doesn't see too much play outside of the format. The whole making all your permanents indestructible thing is just amazing for the 8 mana. And she's just a staple in most white decks that can play her, which is why she definitely needed a reprint. White isn't too terribly strong in Commander other than the awesome removal, so when you have awesome creatures like Avacyn that you're able to play, helps if you can make her cheap too. Number 6 is Kokosho, the Evening Star. Throwing a little honorable mention out there to Yosei. Only around a $5 value in that card though. Kokosho was definitely a more necessary reprint though. Over 20 bucks. Yeah, they changed the artwork, which is very cool. I like the new artwork. I didn't think it would be something that I would like. When they show the whole new artwork here, it looks cool. I like how it's darker. Kind of helps with the whole theme of the card. He's supposed to be the Evening Star, so it's supposed to be darker. definitely cooler. If they ever decided to return to Kamigawa, I would definitely not be upset if they use this kind of art style. Number 5 is Archangel of Thune, another card that does see some moderate modern play. A commander sees just about as much play. If she were a commander, she would obviously see more play because her ability is just freaking awesome. She's more or less just an auto-include in decks like Karlov, Tristani. Any type of deck where you can consistently gain a bunch of life is always pretty good. Maybe even something like a Loro. But she's definitely a powerful creature. Getting +1/+1 counters on your creatures for life gain triggers is always awesome. Number 4 is Austere Command. Throwing an honorable mention out there to Cryptic Command. The only downside is that I don't really feel like Cryptic Command sees as much play as Austere does in this format. It's been reprinted in Modern Masters 2. So the demand isn't really there. I don't really hear people complain about the availability of Cryptic Command versus Austere Command. It's sort of the whole argument with Avacyn where there's just not enough support in white for Commander. And removal is one of the most important aspects of white. And having good board wipes, I feel like there's a surplus of Wrath of God effects, things that destroy all creatures, and they might do other things like gain you life in the process, or they destroy all auras or something in addition, but we needed something that was more versatile. Austere Command is just an awesome card because it deals with other permanent types. It's so versatile. It can deal with specific creatures dependent on their CMC, which is also very awesome. And it allows for you to have options in specific situations to deal with problems. And I definitely like this card. The new artwork upgrade, I'm not a huge fan of it. I prefer the old artwork. It's not like Oblivion Stone where I would rather just pay more money to get the older version of the card. Number 3 is Consecrated Sinks. Shouldn't be any surprise to anybody who has ever played Commander. This card is just a dominant force. It sees literally no other play in other formats. Everybody plays it in Commander. It's kind of like Trade Secrets where you can kind of conspire with other players to get more cards. If they have another Consecrated Sphinx, it's a nightmare like that. But on its own, drawing 2 cards every time an opponent draws 1 card, even if it doesn't stay on the field for a long time, let's say if it only lasts like 1 or 2 turns, you're still going to accumulate a ton of card draw. People have to deal with it right away, or they're going to risk you being able to win the game just by seeing a ton of cards. And it was pretty much one of those no-brainer cards that we knew it was going to get reprinted when they hinted towards more tribal themes, and one of the tribe themes was Sphinxes, so no surprise, it's on the list. About $25, so we desperately needed it to get reprinted. Number 2 is a 5-way tie between all of the Praetors. I'm not going to show any prejudice and say that I don't like any Praetor more than the others. I think they all are on the same level in terms of their power and versatility and what they mean for the format. When you're looking for a creature to kind of fill in the spot of, I want a creature that's going to put in a ton of work in my deck, and I definitely feel like if you put a Praetor in your deck, you have that creature. Elish Norn is just a great white creature, great with anthems, great with tokens, just awesome all around. And Jin-Gitaxias is good for control decks. You get to deprive your opponents of card draw, and you get to draw more cards yourself. Sheoldred is great in Reanimator style decks where you can bring creatures back from your graveyard and also force your opponents to sacrifice creatures on their upkeep. Urabrask is great for the hasty decks. Give all your creatures haste, and your opponent's creatures enter the battlefield tapped, so it kind of enables you to go quicker and slows your opponent down at the same time. And Vorinclex gives you double mana while keeping your opponents tapped down in their mana. Pretty cool. Definitely all extremely powerful creatures in their own right. Then number 1 is, of course, Mana Drain. When you're talking about any particular card that just would see play in this format if it was more accessible, there's no doubt about it, it's Mana Drain. Now, do I feel like it's going to be more accessible to the average Commander player? Absolutely not, but it's a step in the right direction. The more we get cards like these reprinted, the more playable cards like these will be. Now, I do know about the reserve list, and a lot of cards that are Commander playable are also on the reserve list, and that's a big reason why we don't see a ton of cards. Ones like Gaia's Cradle, getting reprinted. They're super expensive. They're not going to go down anytime soon. Cards like these will go down if they continue to get reprinted, and Mana Drain just makes every blue deck better. There's not one blue deck. If you play Counterspell, what the hell is the reason not to play this card? Other than the actual monetary value of the card. There is no reason to not play this card. It gets you mana your next turn's main phase, and you counter the spell for 2 blue, the same exact converted mana cost of a counter spell. It's nothing but pure value, and that's why it's super expensive. It does see some vintage play. It does see some more vintage play, especially in the last year or so. A lot of people are definitely getting high off of some mana drain. I freaking love this artwork too. I think it's really cool. I love the original artwork. This one looks even cooler. A lot of people are just telling me that the foil price for this card is going to be super fucking expensive. I absolutely love it. Definitely the best reprint in this whole set. So anyway guys, that's going to do it for this list of the top 10 best Commander reprints in Iconic Masters. Let me know what you think. Feel free to leave any suggestions or feedback in general. Anyway guys, you have a wonderful day. Void here signing off.